Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum, and today in this video, folks, I'm going to be going through the top 11 base locations on the island map. So if you guys enjoy this video, please do not forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified for when I upload new content. Also, if you guys want to hang out with me, you can also find me on the Lush Life Discord channel as well as on the Sethtopia Discord channel. Links to these will be down in a pinned comment as well as in the video's description. Okay, so I will be considering only the base locations that are close to water and that have a fairly large area with a flat ground where you can build a base. Now the idea behind this is I would like to show you folks base locations where you can build a decent sized base, have a water base to store all your water dinos, as that is an important part of this map. So that means you will need a deep water as well as being close to your primary resources such as stone, wood, thatch, metal, and even crystal. So obviously the first location is at the Red Obelisk. This is a very nice location. I did have a base here at one point, and my water part of the base was basically underneath the Red Obelisk. I closed it off with behemoth gateways, and it is deep enough to actually get in here to Sos, Mosas, and you will have a lot of storage space for a creature like this. Now for those that do not know where this location is, I am going to bring out the GPS so you guys can see the coordinates. I mean, this should be pretty obvious. It's a big obelisk, as I like to call it, or arc, but I like to call it an obelisk because to me it does look like an obelisk. The next location is not far from the first, and as you can see, it is fairly deep. It is surrounded by fairly flat area, and you've got plenty of resources around. It's not far from the mountains as well, where you can get metal, obsidian, crystal, and all the other good stuff. So as you can see, this is what the area looks like. I will show you the GPS coordinates, but let's have a look underneath to see what you guys can actually access. So what I would do here is I would start by building a pillar all the way up until it comes out of the water, then put a ceiling, then come down with walls, and then just keep doing that until I surround the area that I want. Now as you can see, it is a fairly big area, very deep as well, and this allows for a lot of water dino storage. Definitely a good spot. The island around it is fairly flat, so you can build a very big base. As a matter of fact, you can actually have two different tribes splitting this water part out. And here are the coordinates for this particular location. Alright, here we are with the third location. Now this is my preferred base location. It's close to the redwood forest. There's plenty of stone to build your structures out of. There's also a metal spawn point on a hill right there on my right side. There's also crystal there as well. So it is close to all of the good stuff. I'm going to show you how deep it is. Now I didn't get all this location because there were other tribes in the area. However, I did manage to build a very big water base here, and I had my base on a cliff not far on the left. I'm going to show you guys how deep this is. You can actually build a very, very large water base for your water dinos. There's also flat ground around it, so you can build a decent sized base. And as you can see, I would probably start building from here, and I would use a similar method as the previous one mentioned, where I would probably start with a pillar, then work my way up until I get out of the water. When I'm happy with the height, then start with a ceiling, then go to the left or right to ceilings before you go down with pillars again, and obviously close the outside with stone or metal walls depending on what you really want. Now as you can see, there is a lot of resources here. The round rocks will also give you metal. There are rocks all over the place. There's wood all over the place, so you can build a stone base here very, very, very easily. All you need is, well, actually, the only thing I used was a Dodec, a Therizinosaurus, and an Ankylosaurus. So With these three, I built a massive base that allowed me to store several Mosas as well as Tusos and even some Plessies. Here are the coordinates for the location for those that do not know where it is and do rely on the coordinate system. Alright, here we are with the fourth location. As you can see, the surrounding area is fairly flat, allowing for a easy base build. The water is deep. I mean, it's not as deep as the previous ones, but it is deep enough to be able to store creatures such as Tusos and Mosas, and even have a breeding pen for your water creatures. If you really want to go deeper, you can go deeper. It just does require a lot more work in terms of building, and it can be a bit grindy, but you don't really need to go any deeper. And as you can see, the surrounding area is quite rather flat. There are plenty of stones to get your materials from. There are mountains not far from here where you can get your metal, your crystal, your obsidian. And this is an area that would be, I would say, easier to build a water base, simply because it's not that deep. It is deep enough to store your creatures. If you want to go deep, you can go down to those that little perch down there, this portion right here, and you can start from here if you really want to go deep. It's really down to how much time you have and want to spend on your water base. Obviously, if you really want to go deep, this is what you can get. As you can see, there is a lot of space for storage if you really want it. As with the previous locations, I am going to show you the coordinates for this location as well. And I have seen some really nice bases built in here, and obviously this is a prime location, so getting this will not necessarily be easy. But I suppose if you play long enough on a server and that tribe that owns this location decides to stop playing, you can get access to it. Here are the coordinates for those interested in this specific location. So this is the fifth location. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, the reason I like these locations are because you can build a land base and a place to store your dinos. There are some really interesting features where you can build some really nice bases. Obviously, in terms of gameplay, I'm probably referring mostly to your PvE servers, but you can do some PvP stuff, especially if you are in an alpha tribe. And with the map island as well as Ragnarok, one key feature or one important element of the gameplay does consist in the underwater exploration. So you will want to have that, and I personally prefer to have my water base and my land base connected and within close vicinity of each other. Just a personal preference, and that is one thing I always sought when playing on official servers. So as you can see, very deep, another nice area. You can probably even have two tribes sharing this as well. Now next to here there is a little island which I will not cover because it is an island, so it is kind of separated from the mainland. And so therefore, if you're just starting out, you really won't have a lot of access to very many resources, especially once you start building. So that means you will have to travel from that little island to the mainland, get resources, then carry them back, which can be a pain, especially if you're just starting out. Now, you can get access to stone structures fairly early in the game, and they can be quite easily farmed. However, getting across from one point to the other can be a bit of a challenge, which is why I am not including that. Don't get me wrong, it is a nice location. You can build a nice base. But in this video, I am only covering the locations where you can build from day one, which does consist in advantage, especially seeing as the prime locations will be sought after and people will be keeping an eye on the tribes that have the prime locations. The moment a tribe stops using that location or their resources or their buildings despawn, another one will take over. So obviously, if you're just starting out in the game, building in a secluded area can be a bit of a challenge, especially on PvE servers where people tend to pillar down everything. Here is the next base location. Now this is, I suppose, on the smaller scale. It's not as deep as the other ones, but it's still nonetheless it is a nice location. The water here is fairly deep, or deep enough to store large water dinos. You can even have a breeding pen here as well. And I would probably start by building off of the edge, or the very edge here, and I would most likely use behemoth gateways as well as pillars and ceilings as much as possible. You do want to get some height on it as well if you can. I mean, it's not a big thing here, but more so on the previous locations where you do get titanosaurs that spawn in. As with the previous one, I will show you the surrounding area as well, but as you can see, it is a nice little area where you can build. If you go further down, you can still find some area to build a water base for dinos. Also, in this area there is an artifact cave, so do bear that in mind as well. So you will be close to one of the artifact caves. It is a fairly easy cave, and I do have a tutorial for those that do want to do it or are interested in the artifacts on the island. Obviously that will be in a separate video. And here are the coordinates once I get my buttons right. There we go. These are the coordinates for this specific location for those that are interested in it. Okay, so somewhat further up, going north, you do have another location. This is what it looks like. And it is quite deep, as you can see. It is large enough to build a water base here as well, and connect it to a main base. Obviously this is where the swamp meets the water, so you can build a nice decent place. It is a fairly dangerous place. There are all sorts of nasty creatures, sarcos, capros, the whole lot, but once you start out, you can have a very nice location. There's water for days, and you do have some nice creatures as well. You're not far from main resources as well, and there is another cave not far from here that contains an artifact. Obviously that is an underwater cave. As you can see, there is a decent size to build a very nice base, large as well, close to the swamp, close to good resources. And now I'm talking about your PvE servers. I have not actually seen very many people use this location, which does have, if you ask me, quite a lot of potential. Okay, so here is the next base location. Now, with this, you will have to bear in mind that gigas do come down here sometimes, so it is potentially a dangerous area. However, it does have a good flat ground to build a land base. It does have deep water to build a deep water base, and you can have them all connected. So I can definitely see a lot of usage for this. Again, an area that not many people use. Look how deep that is. You can definitely store tons of water dinos here. So I think it is a absolutely awesome base location. And as you can see, there's a mountain there where you can get your metal, crystal, obsidian, and all that other good stuff. Obviously this is slightly further up from the area that connects to the swamp, or where the area that the swamp connects to the main water. Here are the coordinates for this specific location. Alright, here we are with another prime location. Now, why I call this a prime? Actually, all of the locations I've showed you in this video so far are what I personally call prime locations, but this is one of the best locations. It does have deep water, it's close to stone, you've got wood, you've got the mountain nearby that contains crystal, that contains metal as well as obsidian. You've got a very deep section of water where you can build a nice water base. The island, or the land surrounding it, is fairly flat, so you can build quite a nice large base. There is one danger to keep in mind, and again, that is the gigas. As you can see, it is quite deep. It is not as big as the other ones, but for a small tribe this would definitely do. And you can even use this section that I just showed you here as a breeding pen for your water dinos. You can come out here and have your main dinos with your exit to the main water somewhere around here. So definitely a nice location if you get your hands on it. Now this is another one of these areas that I've not actually seen many tribes use, which is, I don't know, it's kind of sad because this is a place that has quite a lot of potential. Here are the coordinates for this specific location. Over there on my right you saw the Carnival Island. There is the mountain that contains all the yummy resources, so definitely a good spot to build. Okay, so here we are with the second to last base location that I wanted to show you guys in this video. Now to my left or behind me now would be Carnival Island. This is a very nice location with a lot of flat ground to build on, and this area between the mainland and the island, look how deep it is. It's not deep at all, and I've seen some really nice and interesting bases built around this area on the PvE servers. A lot of space as well, so you can get multiple tribes using this. And as you can see, this is just absolutely huge. I've actually seen tribes that built this into a very nice water pen, and they even built a little bridge from the mainland to Carnival Island, which I thought was totally interesting. Obviously everything was made out of metal, so this was a PvE server as well. It was an official PvE server, so I might as well mention that. But the amount of resources and work put in, that was just amazing. Definitely a sight to behold. I'm going to be showing you folks the coordinates for this location in a couple of seconds. For those that do not know where it is on the island, I mean, I think everybody should know the location, but here are the coordinates for this specific location. Okay, so here we are with the last base location. Now, I'm not going to go into the snow biome simply because, again, as I stated at the beginning of this video, I am showing you locations where you can build from day one. In order to be able to build a base in the snow biome, you need to prepare for it, otherwise the cold will kill you. And obviously I'm also thinking in terms of ease of access, in terms of getting resources easily and all that stuff. So I'm just showing you what I consider to be the prime base locations in terms of building the island. So if you go any further closer to these icebergs, you can see I get the ice cube, which will kill you if you are not prepared. As you can see, it is a decently deep location, so you can store your water creatures here. It's not necessarily a big location, but if you really want to go big, you can come out further here and build from here going up, so you can have a bit of a deep location as well, or a deep end if you want. You can use the shallow end to breed your dinos and raise them and all that good stuff for those that are interested. So obviously the reason I showed you all these locations is that, as I said before, I personally like to have my water base and land base connected. So that means building around the edge of the island where the water is deep enough to have a deep pool, as well as a decent flat land to build a nice giant sized base. Now, of course, obviously I did also take into consideration the main resources such as metal nodes and crystal. You want to be fairly close to them, as well as bear in mind that I'm speaking from the perspective of a PvE build. However, you can build here on PvP servers if you are big enough, maybe say for example an alpha tribe or a tribe that many people will not mess with because you're quite powerful, so you can use these locations. And while some of them are quite commonly sought after, some of the locations that I showed you in this video I have not seen used, and of course I am again talking from the perspective of a PvE player who's spent quite a long time playing on the official PvE servers. Of course, I do realize that there is a big difference between PvE and PvP gameplay, and obviously your bigger tribes will be bold and will want a nice decent area, whilst your solo PvP player might just want a small little area that is well hidden. I'm obviously not referring to those players, I'm more referring to the ones that want to build a nice base and access all of the content in the game, including the stuff that is underwater. Well, that is it for this video, folks. I do hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you have learned about one new location that you never thought of, then I have achieved my purpose with this video. If you folks have enjoyed this video, please do not forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and why not check out some of my other videos here on the channel. Who knows, you might just enjoy them. Also, if you are new, don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new content. Until next time, stay safe, folks.